All right, this is Tom Simmons, your host. Welcome to Success Unlimited podcast. With us today, we have Blake Grissom. He's a storm restoration manager at New Beginnings Construction in South Carolina. We're going to go through his journey, some challenges he's faced. Want to talk about how what successes he's had and how he's defined his success. He has a lot to share with us, so I'll get right to it. Blake, welcome. How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
It's a pleasure. So getting right into it, if you could give our audience a snippet or look into your background and kind of how you came to be one of the nation's top roofing salesmen.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I actually started installing solar when I was younger. Um, yeah, I was an okay job starting off. I think like 21, something like that, and got into that pretty heavily. And then I got approached by a guy that saw me on a roof one day and said, "Hey, man, would you love to be off these roofs all day, every day?" And I was like, "Absolutely, you got my attention. What's going on?" And he asked me to start running some inspections for him. So the more I kind of thought about it, I ended up making that jump to start doing some canvassing for him and actually running some
Right.
inspections for him, which kind of opened the door into this whole roofing sales. I knew nothing about it really. I mean, he had to teach me really what shingles were. Unfortunately, I found out also that we were causing a lot of damage when we were installing these solar systems up there too. So just not knowing, anything about the roofing industry, they just,
Right.
tell us, hey, you get these solar panels up there. But it's just, there was a lot to learn in taking the process of, knocking some doors and kind of learning the industry that way was a great transition because, you start learning, hey, this is what's going on with this. And then I started getting more and more involved with knocking some doors. And I was like, hey, y'all, it's time for me to get in some sales. So they pushed me into this. Yeah,
Quick
go ahead.
question on that. Does sales come naturally to you?
I don't necessarily, especially coming from like installing solar, I wouldn't say it comes naturally to me. I do chat a lot. I do like talking, so I think that aspect of it does come naturally. But I don't necessarily know that I was born with like the sales bone in me. But it, it has grown on me, and I've definitely learned through it. But I wouldn't say it came naturally, right?
Well, your ability to connect with people through conversation I'm assuming that's where you've been just a natural, where that part seems to be natural to you.
It is, man. I mean, even growing up, I mean, you just talking to somebody in the line at the grocery store. I mean, it's that part is natural for me. I mean, I enjoy talking to people. I mean, going out there doing what we do, we get to meet all different kind of walks of life. But I mean, even going to the grocery store, you get somebody in front of you, chat it up for a minute, and it's just neat, kind of being able to communicate with all different kind of people, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned a door-to-door sales. You're kind of getting into that before I interrupted you, but um, that process and the fear of rejection, that had to be pretty high.
Yeah, it was. I'm not big on rejection, and I probably wasn't obviously the best at it at first, but I mean, I didn't know if I outworked everybody that I was going to be able to make those numbers that I felt were good.
I
So
love it.
yeah, you
I
go
love
get some doors, shut in your face with some people just not interested, but I mean, you got to let that stuff roll, especially like roll off the back, especially when you're brand new. You don't
it. Right.
know enough, and just going out there and getting experience is what's going to teach you to be different at each door, and being able to reflect back on that. Like, well, that door did not go good. What do I do different on the next one? And I am a big believer. Those no's are just one step closer to the yeses. So you
Right.
have to have that mindset, and especially in this industry because it's the truth. I mean, you'll run into some real ugly people out there, and I'm not talking physically. I'm just talking about that. They're very rude to you at the door, and at the end of the day, those aren't the people that I want to be out there helping either. If you're going to be rude, I mean, it's probably going to be a headache as a customer anyway. So it's just getting me closer to somebody I do want to help. And man, the customers that I get, I mean, they're just awesome people that they're open up to like, yeah, let's move forward with this, and they're just really, really cool people. I mean, I still have people that send me Christmas cards every year, and it's just you get to meet lifelong kind of friends in a way, if you will. I mean, they're customers, but they care about you and care about your life, and and everything. So it's pretty neat. But yeah, kind of going back to that. So I did push into wanting to get into the sales part, and they saw my eagerness there. And I grew up playing sports, so I was very competitive on that aspect of it. Big baseball guy. But just being very competitive, I wanted to move into the sales side of it. Obviously, I knew the money was there too, right?
Right.
So just kind of started there, and then worked with a few different companies. I mean, as we all know, there's kind of some downfalls to certain companies that you work with, and just the more and more you kind of grow, you see, hey, like I need to get away from these guys. I need to take a different opportunity, and just kind of get into the position where you need to be at and who you need to be with, right? Because you can be the best person you can be, but if you're not backed by a good company and a good support there, it's all smoke and mirrors, really.
Yeah, I love the mindset, the hunger, going out and just doing whatever it takes to hit your goals. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced?
Kind of froze up there. I'm sorry, Tom. What was your question?
What are I said I love the mindset, the hunger, going out and doing whatever it takes to win in sales, but just in general, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
Well, work wise, I mean, I think it's just the day to day grind. I mean, it's a lot that you have to go through and still be able to wake up and go out there and do it. But you have to have your own reasons of your whys, right? Like, I mean, I got a little plaque at the office now. I just recently got married this year, and we got a 5-year-old together, and those two are my why. So really holding on to that why, and pardon my French, but not letting the case of the fuckets kind of go through there.
Right.
You can't give up on that. And I did struggle with having, all right, I'm just going to go out there tomorrow. I'm giving up on it today. But that kind of goes back to another thing I was going to touch on as well as I ended up getting sober about 5 years ago. I struggled I won't say that pretty hard. Like, I was never like a fall down drunk person, but I was one of the guys that, after work, hey, we're going out and having some drinks. And where I grew up, right outside the Charlotte area, it's a lake town, man. We all enjoyed to have our booze and such, and we had our local watering hole, and we would go out there, and it's nothing to run into 5 to 10 people every single night you kind of go out, and it just turned into being too much for me. That I was seeing myself kind of spin my wheels, right? And I just wasn't really making anything out of life. And I've got big dreams and aspirations. I do. I mean, I think you have to, but I wanted to conquer those. I mean, next year I'm 40 years old, right? So it's like back when I made the decision to finally get sober, it was the time to like, hey, we're really going to do this, or we're going to keep going in the same way, right? So I did make the decision to do that, and man, that has been, besides getting married to my wife, that has been the best decision that I've ever done.
So let me go back, stop you for a minute. Let me go back to even before that. Why did you, I guess, what started you down the path of drinking a lot? Was it more of a social hour, or just became more of a habit?
Well, the town I grew up in, really, man, everybody really enjoyed having drinks. Obviously, of course, myself. I mean, I don't want to say there was a reason why, like, I 100% started. It was just, what we did around the lake. It's just kind of what we did. Lake town, so I mean, especially during the summers, like every weekend we go out and hang out with each other. And it's just all about going out, socialize, having a good time. It's just, I did probably a little bit more than the average bear.
Okay, got it. What was that turning point when you woke up and said, I got to stop this behavior? Was it goal oriented? You saw where you wanted to be, and what you're doing wasn't getting you there, or what was the catalyst to really turn and pivot?
Same year, same thing year after year. It was the same thing, It's like, man, I know I could have done so much better. And then you really kind of reflect on that, and it's like, what is it really that's holding back? And it was the drinking, man. It really was. The mindset just wasn't there, like I was saying, you get those cases of the efforts, and you're out the door, and you're done for the day. But since I put that down, it's been great. But what caused me to quit is, man, I had this bigger picture, and I wanted to see that come to light, right? And I prayed about it, and then finally, I was just talking to my mom one day. She was like, "Blake, you done?" And I was like, "You know what? I am, Mom." And that was it. Like, I haven't taken one step back or anything. And
Awesome.
everybody's journey in that is different. So I'm not hating on it. Now, I'm not hating on anybody that drinks either, man. I mean, I think that's
Right.
that's cool. It's just, I think Ron White said it the best. So he said, every man is allotted a certain amount of whiskey in his life, and I have made that's my limit already. So it is what it is, I mean, like I said, it's been the best thing for me. I mean, I struggle with it, but man, it changed my mindset. It changed my focus. It changed so much. I mean, it really took my career from, just being a decent one to being a very outstanding career. And it's just getting better and better with each year.
So,
it really is.
How did it how did it change your focus, and in what ways? I mean, because you said you were focused already, you were doing good, you were decent, but you made the leap from use a colloquialism term, from good to great, right?
Yeah.
But what steps did you take and why?
You got your goals, right? And I really think you need to have goals for yourself, and then it's setting those goals and then going out there and getting those, and having that mindset to go out there and, like, you know what, I don't care. I'm going out there, I'm doing it for whatever reason, and just having the drive to go out there and make that happen each day. Some days are gonna be good, some days are not gonna be good, but you're sitting there, you're working your full 8, 12, 14 hours. Some days are, different, kind of during busy season. There's been times where I work 16-hour days, and it kind of is what it is, but it just changed my whole outlook on life. It really has, man. Like I said, it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. I know there's a lot of other people out there that struggle with it, and they're kind of on the verge of, maybe thinking, do I quit? Do I not? I'm telling you, man, at least give it a shot. If you're struggling with it, right? Not everybody struggles with it, but if you're struggling with it, just give it a shot, man. You get this more clear mindset in the focus in your life, and it's wild how, like, your whole demeanor kind of changes on that aspect. And in sales, man, it's awesome. I mean, because here's the thing: sometimes I would have to call a customer and say, because I was hungover, I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna have to push this appointment back," and it's like they're like, "Oh, well, actually, we're just not going to do that. We decided against it." It's like, well, that just cost me X, Y, and Z amount of money. And it's you get
Right.
burned out on that and seeing that happen, kind of year after year after year. So
Did you have a support system in place, or I mean, your mom asked you? Obviously, you have a great love for your mom and respect for your mom, for you to just say, "I'm done." But did you have temptations to go back to drinking, or was that enough?
No, man, I'm never, so support wise, let me answer that first. My mom has always been my biggest supporter. She really has.
It's awesome.
Yeah, she was my rock growing up, man. She really was. So having her, I mean, I would just kind of talk with her each day on that aspect of it. But as far as the sobriety part, once I stopped, that was it. That
Wow.
was it. And I never looked back.
That takes such courage and determination, the strength that you hear story after story of folks that are trying to quit smoking or trying to stop drugs or trying to stop drinking. So when I was probably in 3rd grade, my aunt came to visit, and I was probably even younger. I was in maybe kindergarten first. I don't know what grade I was in, but I was young, not young enough to understand exactly what I was saying. But I told my aunt that her cigarettes are going to kill her, and she's going to go to hell. And that was enough for her to go, huh? You know what? I'm done. And she stopped. I think at that point she was done. And so when you told the story about your mom, I can kind of relate to some degree, because it's like when someone that you love and respect, or you have a connection with, there's that connection. They say, hey, I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to go through it. It's not healthy. Stop. I mean, and for you to go cold turkey like that is pretty amazing.
I appreciate it. I do, man. I think another reason why I was able to stop and stay stopped is I know once I figured out I could start, stop. That's who I am. Like I just kind of have an addictive personality, right? And in anything really, you know, I mean, I'm addicted to the sales process. Yes, I am. But like, you know, if you find good things to be addicted to, you're gonna be all right. But I just knew, hey, if I messed up once, it's just gonna be a cycle. Like, all right, well, I messed up once. Well, you know, I'll just kind of play with this for a little bit, and I'll get sober after the weekend or something, you know. And I just saw how that can be so dangerous. Seeing some people try to do it, and again, everybody's path is different. You know, one of my best friends tried that way, got sober, went back to it. It was a hot mess. Got sober again, tried to drink one more time, and then he was like, you know what? I figured out I can't do it. So that's what I'm saying. Like everybody's kind of process is different when it comes to that.
Right.
You know, for me, I knew I couldn't try that way. For him, he needed to try that way to know that it was done. You know, so everybody's sobriety journey is a little different. It really is.
So, what in roofing sales, the average ticket, I'm assuming, is about $25,000-$30,000. It's a high ticket item. What is the most you've ever sold in a year?
So 2.7 last year. That was before
Wow. Impressive.
Your supplements and such. So that was pretty cool, pretty neat.
Man,
it's hopefully got to kind of keep tearing up, man. I'm getting more into commercial as well. So I mainly focus on residential. I love residential, but it's also a grind too. And I'm just kind of getting a little more experience with my knowledge and stuff. So kind of pushing more into commercial and being out commercial property owners. We've got a handful of those going right now. Just got one of them approved the other day. Just waiting for that scope to come back so we can get it signed up. So that's good. But like, yeah, most of them are, but your residential claims about 25,000 ish range. But then there's different claims that I'll run, whether that is last year I had a tree fall on a house, and unfortunately the contractor that took it over just was not moving this thing in the correct way. It's tough for a homeowner, right? Because they don't know exactly who to lean on, right? So they were leaning on somebody that just wasn't steering them in the right direction. By the time we picked it up, that house had been stagnant, had been getting rained in and everything. So at that point, all the drywall, flooring, I mean, we had
everything's totaled out.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of insurance restoration type of work. So it's insurance funded jobs, right? Versus just selling for cash or retail.
Yeah, I'll get a handful of retail a year. Usually that's some of my referrals. Like, hey, man, my buddy's buying a house over here. Insurance is requiring him to put one on, you know, or new roof on, or whatever it may be. So, you know, a handful a year, I get some of those. But that's not my focus. We actually got some retail guys that work with us. So if it's not a direct referral, we'll kick it right over to those guys. And it kind of works both ways. You know, if they get something like, hey man, I just got on this roof and it's tatted up with some hail, they kick it over to me. And we work it fairly. I got another guy that kind of works in my territory, and I'll split the commission with him. I just will. You know, I'd rather look after everybody because it'll all come full circle, right? You know, it does.
It figures out how. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned several times, you've dropped that a key word of focus and goals. Do you have, what is your process for setting your goals and refocusing? Is it every week? Is it every quarter, every month, every year? What's your process of staying focused and setting goals?
Yeah, man. So I'm with an amazing company right now. When I moved from Charlotte to Charleston, I had 10 years experience in the industry at that point. So, you know, I don't mean to sound any type of way, but 10 years experience, pretty much everybody wants. You know, you got enough experience to be dangerous as far as like
Right.
this guy can make a splash, right? So, you know, pretty much everybody had wanted me, but I wanted to get fit. Kind of as we were talking about at the beginning of this, is being aligned with a good company. This company has great core values. It's a Christian-based company. I am a Christian myself. I mean, you don't have to go with a Christian-based company, but you know, I just feel everything aligns more up with me personally, right? They are so good. I've been with them for a little over 5 years now, and me and the owner have got into one little argument, and it was probably had something to do with our CRM, right? And that's it. And then I think, you know, kind of knowing in the construction world to not really get in any argument is that's very rare in a way. But that goes to show who Toby is as a person. Toby is one of the owners. There's two owners over there. Toby's kind of like our GM over there. And he's just so cool, calm, and collected. Another thing I love about him is he'll listen to anything that I bring to the table as well. But that kind of goes to answer your question. We go through a biweekly review process, right? So we'll set our goal. We just had our meeting last week actually for our goals for 2024, right? And then so we'll get fired up. We usually let kind of January do its January thing, right? We'll get fired up usually 1st of February. Bi-weekly having these meetings of, hey, what are your goals for these 2 weeks? You know, and he breaks it down for the year. Say I want, you know, like this year, my goal is $3 million, right? So at 3 million, it gets broken down per bi-weekly. I mean, you can just kind of track and see where you're at. I mean, he's got a system where it tells me if I'm in the green or the red. You know, I got a problem with personally myself if I'm seeing it in the red. It's just kind of who I am. And we have taken some of the goals, and halfway through the year when we're doing it, I think it was last year, we had to bump up my goal for the year. And I'm perfectly fine with that, man. I'm one person. I want to go out there and kind of go get it, right? Instead of just saying, all right, yeah, I'll hit that goal, or just kind of sneaking by. But
Right.
yeah, just sit down with him bi-weekly, man, and just going over each goal. And then we break it down for, hey, what do you want to do these 2 weeks to impact this month, to impact this quarter, to impact, you know, everything. And so you've got, you know, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly goals that you need to, you know, kind of stay on track with. And whether that's, hey, this week I need to focus on getting some collections in, or this week I need to focus on, you know, maybe getting back out there and get some more claims going, or I need to hound these insurance companies to kind of get this thing moving forward. They're kind of stalling up. So you just kind of look at what's kind of holding you back, and hey, let's focus on these goals and let's kind of help this move forward. And he's great about kind of walking me through some of that stuff. You know,
So
I do really appreciate him and everything he does for that aspect of it.
whether you recognize it or not, or whether you recognize it or not, I have written down 4 steps that I've heard you talk about, and let me know if I'm missing anything. But first thing, your goal is usually written down. The second thing is if it's measurable, you know how to measure it. And then you have an action plan, what you have to do to hit your goals. And if you hit them too soon, it's set too low, you can readjust them. And the last thing is the goal is measurable. So between it being written down, the action plan, readjusting it, and the goals are measurable. Is there anything else you guys do outside of maybe those 4 steps? I try to simplify it so that you do that makes you and helps you become one of the nation's top producers.
No, man, you're on point. I mean, some of those words you just said is exactly what's those same words that get put in the meeting. I mean, goals have to be attainable, right? You know, they have to be measurable, and he does that aspect of it. So, I mean, you're firing on all cylinders there. I mean, because these are some of the same words they're throwing around each meeting. You know,
Cool. So a lot of folks will bring up company values, but what about you and your family, your personal life? Do you set goals personally, and how do you align your values with your goals? Because everyone can set goals for financial, but do you consider these spiritual goals and health goals and other goals like that might be a little bit more personable?
Yeah, I mean, we just got married here in September, so
Congratulations.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
That's awesome.
We're still working on the playbook, but I'm just trying to be the best I can for them. I mean, I at this point now come third, and I am 100% happy with that. I mean, I prayed God to find me a good woman, and He put her in front of me, put her in front of me at the right time, and I got blessed with a 5-year-old.
That's awesome,
man. But they have been nothing but a blessing. They really have, and it's been really neat to watch Layton. She's my little one, and have Lauren around. She's such an amazing person and such an amazing mom. I mean, I think we were kind of sharing our elf on the shelf kind of deals there too. So
yeah,
I'm a little new to the fatherhood with Layton, but I'm just trying to learn what I can. But those personal goals for me, and just going out there and be able to provide for them, right? But there's also a guy said this last year, about success, and he was like, success is all about the memories, and that really hit me in a certain way, right? Because you want the nice truck, you want the nice car, you want this and everything. Those things you definitely want. You definitely go out there and go get them. But here 15, 20 years down the road, I might not remember what kind of truck I had. Now like, maybe probably still a Silverado, but those things go out the window. But these memories and these trips and experiences that we can do together, those are lifelong memories that not just with me and Lauren, but Layton's going to carry on. Hey, we got to go here, we got to go there. I mean, that's really what I'm after now. Is being able to provide some memories and do some cool stuff. And that does take money. Don't get me wrong, it does. But the drive behind that to be able to provide and go make that money so I can provide those memories is big.
Man, that's awesome. Talking about see a lot of sailfish behind you on your shelf and on your wall. Talking about memories. When my 11-year-old, he was 7, he was mature 7. We went out on a golf run, deep sea, 70 miles offshore, and we launched about 3:30 in the morning on December 6th, and it was cold, it was dark. And get out there, waves were cool, and we're running full out. And about 4:15, Captain goes, Dad, and I wake up. I was asleep on sleeping bags or bean bags rather. I was kind of half awake, half asleep because I knew my oldest was awake on an open boat.
Yeah.
And so as soon as Captain said, Dad, I look up and there's a co-pilot's chair, and it's set in, if you're not familiar, I know you are, but other folks who may not be, those chairs sit up off the deck good 3 feet. It's not like a dining room chair where it's only like 18 inches off the ground or 2 foot off the ground. So he's sitting there holding them up, and he is dead asleep. The captain's sitting there, hand on the wheel and holding up my 7-year-old so he doesn't clonk over right on the deck. And we didn't get back till 6:30 at night, and I saw pictures of my 7-year-old at that time laying face down, digging fish out of the hold. Half his body's in there. He's just trying to get all the fish out of the hold there, and he was all about it. It's just a trooper from 3:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. But it's those kind of memories that define success. I'm right there with you. And I think that I keep hearing over and over and over folks who had these big houses and Lambos and Ferraris, they work nonstop. They don't slow down to create those memories. And they all say that's one of their biggest regrets is not creating those memories. So I think you're onto something. I think you're spot on.
Yeah, man. One of my best friends growing up, his dad was, I think maybe the richest person in the area we lived in. If not, he was right there with it. I mean, they had planes, helicopters, you name it, Rolls Royces, they had it all, right? But his dad was constantly working. He just wasn't there. And, It's just not, I want to be a family guy too. I mean, I'll make sure I'm there for every single dance. Like, guess what? If I miss a sale because of that, so be it. It is what it is. Like, I mean, there's plenty of it out there, and
I love it.
Her support system and knowing that, hey, he's going to be there for me, it makes it a lot more than, hey, I'm going to get this sale. And realistically, I should be able to tell any homeowner that's what's going on. We're going to have to wait for it. And if they don't agree with it, there's plenty of other contractors for you to go work with. I mean, it's just, somebody doesn't really understand that. That's just, might not be what I work with anyway. So, but,
well, last question for you is, and you can take this anyway, answers however you want to answer this, but if going back 10, 15 years, and if you were to run into your younger self, what's that one piece of advice you would give to yourself?
Get sober faster.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
It really is, man. It's just, that was one of my biggest downfalls, and like I said, I was never like some fault on drunk, but at the same time, it's just something that held me back. And I feel like I could have been, everything happens for a reason. I think God's got plans for us. So I think I was going through that when I needed to go through it, that was set me up for success where I'm at. If that would have happened 10 years ago, I might not be with Lauren, so I don't know, but I do know that was one of my biggest kind of struggles there. So I think getting that, so I could have fast forwarded this, I mean, I've really just started picking up some heavy steam in this industry the last, 5 years. So, I could have about 10 years more steam into it. So I just think it, for me personally, if I could have told myself, do this and you're going to be better off faster. Right.
Yes.
Like I said, man, I'm not here to tell everybody needs to get sober, man. I have some good friends that can do it better. And it's just not everybody needs to do it. It's just some people do. And for the people that do need to do it and have been contemplating with it, man, I'd recommend it. I really would, because it'll be the best decision you make. If you kind of got fun with it, go out there and at least give it a shot. Hey, we got January 1st coming. Could be a nice New Year's resolution for anybody. But feel free, if anybody's out there watching this, man, and just needs somebody to talk to, man. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, anything like that. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. I pray to God that He uses me where He needs to use me in that aspect of that stuff. So I'm a 100% open book. And then if there's anybody that has any questions about, anything going on in the industry, I'm an open book as well. I'm big on kind of giving back where I can, because guess what? I didn't get where I'm at without asking questions, without, picking people's brains. So if anybody's kind of, coming up in the industry and he's got questions, I'm 100% open book. We're happy to help anybody out there I can. I think the more as we team up as the industry, and especially the insurance restoration, and kind of, help each other out, because it's really us and the homeowner versus some of these insurance companies, right? So I am 100% open book. Feel free to reach out to me anytime, whether that be about, maybe getting sober or, anything industry wide. Please, y'all feel free to reach out to me.
That's awesome. I tell you what, I'd be surprised if you aren't on a panel or on stage telling your story someday, if you haven't already been. Amazing story, amazing results. You have so much to offer and give back and to learn from. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure we'll be speaking soon.
Absolutely. Tom, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Take care.